I'm Johnny Vegas, and you're listening to KopTalk with Dunk. And all you other Liverpool sites, just stop embarrassing yourself, alright?
Yo, what up? This your boy Smooth, straight from New York. You're listening to KopTalk Podcast. Remember this, you never walk alone, but if you fuck with us, you walk with a limp.
Alright guys, how's it going? It is Friday, the 18th of August 2023, and you're listening to the KopTalk Podcast in association with footballclubshares.com, where you can buy real shares in real football clubs. How's it going, guys? You're right. It feels like ages since we last spoke, which it probably has been, in all fairness. And I want to thank those of you that are patrons, supporters of the podcast, because you would have every right to sulk and moan, and you never do. It's very, very difficult to churn out podcasts each day. Monday to Friday is when I like to do the podcast, as you know. But during the transfer window, at the moment, it's exceptionally difficult because you can record something and within minutes of, putting that out, let's say in a video on KopTalk.tv, you can put a video out and within minutes it can change. But you can quickly go back on and maybe remove that video, which I think I did last week. I think I removed 2. And you can quickly put another video out. The same with written articles. You can edit the existing one. You can't edit a podcast, audio. You could delete it, but it really messes up the stream, the feed, if you like, and people would be playing it, and it would still be showing, but wouldn't work until that corrected itself. And then you'd have to re-record the podcast, and the podcast audio recording that takes longer than doing videos and things. So it's really, really difficult because when you do the podcast, you should really stick to like more settled news, if that makes sense. And I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you the truth. If I couldn't be bothered to do it, I just can't be asked, But that's not me. I do like the podcasts, but they need to be more at a set time. I think, like 4:00 in the afternoon or 10:00 in the morning or something like that, and a proper routine. And you can address, like during the outside of the transfer window, say from September 2nd onwards, for example, you can address the previous day's news because things are not really going to change that much. But during the transfer window, things are hectic, and that's the main reason, probably the sole reason, why I haven't been doing many podcast episodes, really. I am very conscious of it, trust me. And I must thank Scott and Adam for sending in emails to me to get me, recording again. If people sent in emails every day, then that would force me, if I had 5 emails every day to go over, that gives us content. But it's changing all the time, and it's very, very difficult. So I think once this transfer window is out of the way, we'll get back into more of a routine. That's all I can do, and just ask you to be patient with me. I've been churning out a lot of video content because things are fast moving. Do you know what I mean? You can quickly turn the camera on, boom, video out, no editing, it's live. It can replace anything. You can't do that with a podcast episode. They're a bit more like, you got to prepare for it, you got to edit it, you got to publish it. It takes a lot more effort to do the podcast. But I haven't given up on the podcast. I just want to be very clear about that. So I think once the window closes, we'll get back into a routine. And I'd rather do to be honest with you, I'd rather do the podcast first thing in the morning and look at the day's previous news and address that. Because even if you do one at, say, 4:00 in the afternoon, which we previously did for a long time, you could get that out and something could come out early evening. So I just think from September 2nd, I think we should look at doing the podcast first thing in the morning. That's what I think anyway, because I like to review the previous day's news. And with the podcast, like with the videos are more like you're dealing with things that are happening there and then. With the podcast, I think it's good to be more, analysing things and looking at the claims. So if you're looking at stuff from the previous day, it's a good catch-up, So we'll work it out. But I am very, very grateful to those of you that are patrons, that stay loyal to me. Not everyone does, but the majority of you do. And I'm really, happy about that. So what can we talk about? And this is the problem because, all we can do is talk about the various rumours that are out there at the moment. And those rumours are changing. By the time you listen to this podcast, I'm sure they'll have changed again. And you know what? Most of the things I could say to you today are probably the same as they were yesterday or the day before. You know, I think back on August 9th, I put out an email on my my mailing list that I send out to people, and I think I said in that you know, I was basically briefed or informed, if you like, that Liverpool were likely to revisit some of the previously stronger links. So you're thinking Kone for a start, right? Thuram, Gravenberch, players like that, right? So I expect those players to be linked with us before the end of the window. Again, I'm seeing bits of it here and there, but nothing massive at the moment. Although I think there is an update that we're going to touch on Kone today. Obviously, we've signed the kid. You know, we've done this. Wataru, Endo. I can't even remember his name, to be honest with you. I did a video about this, you know, when it came out, and it wasn't exactly the news that most fans wanted to hear, because, you know, to go from the likes of Bellingham to Caicedo, and then all of a sudden we're signing a 30-year-old that no one, let's be honest, most people hadn't heard of, unless you follow German football or you're Japanese, maybe. You probably haven't heard of him. So, you know, and my video or commentary about that maybe came across as a little bit negative, but that wasn't the intention. It was just the mood. You know, if we'd have signed Caicedo, for example, and then signed this kid, you know, people, well, he's not a kid, but you know what I mean, well, he is to me, then people, I think, would have welcomed this and gone, oh, nice one, you know, we're adding numbers to the squad, as Rafa would say. But because it's the other way around and we've signed him before we've really brought in, you know, something that's going to excite people, you can understand why the fans are like, what the absolute fuck. I personally think he's going to be all right. I genuinely do. I'm not backtracking because I never said he'd be shit in the first place. You know, people say nice things about him. I'm not convinced that, you know, by some of these claims, though, because I think that if Liverpool, you know, if he's so good, or if Liverpool always wanted him, it wasn't a panic buy, then why didn't they buy him at the beginning of the window, you know, and add him then? So it seems like Liverpool are just trying to add numbers. But that shouldn't be taken as a negative towards the player. Don't forget, you know, he's not only a DM, he can play as a centre-back, right? Yes, he plays for a shitty German side. I think they finished third from bottom of the Bundesliga last season, and I think they won a playoff to stay up, which I think he contributed a goal in or something. I'm not sure, but I think he contributed shit to that. He's the captain of Stuttgart, and he's also the captain of Japan. You know, so, you know, there's nothing. Little players like this, I don't know why I'm saying little, but, you know, players like this, they can become cult heroes. But let's not forget that when we've signed players who have not been very exciting, the likes of Minamino, Mello, you know, people come out with all this shit. They say, oh, they can do a job. I've seen him play. You know, so I just don't get sucked into all that guff. You know, what he does at Liverpool, we'll see. And there's players, right? You can spend millions on players, millions and millions and millions, and they can flop. So I'm all for this. I'm all for giving the lad a chance. So, but I can understand why the supporters were like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Now, we know that, I don't know when we last spoke about John Henry on here, but, you know, John Henry, you know, said that he came to England because he wasn't happy with the way things were happening at the club, the day-to-day running of the club this summer. You know, I think there is a suggestion that FSG feel that the criticism they've been receiving from the supporters, from the fan base, has been unfair because they're arguing that resources are there to make things happen, and why are they not happening? Whether you believe that or not is on you individually. But, you know, it seems like John Henry's a little bit pissed, and that, I don't know if that means they're going to throw Boy George under the bus, you know, the new sporting director, or could he still pull something out of the hat yet? We'll have to wait and see. I do think that there has been a lot of leaks coming out of Liverpool Football Club this summer, which is extremely unusual, and I don't think that they're coming from Boy George, right? He doesn't really know anybody. And I just get the impression that maybe one of the journalists, the big journalists that focus only on Liverpool Football Club, not in the clique, feels a bit, has maybe had their nose put out because they've not been getting access to George. I get the impression that George is, you know, a bit of a lone wolf and doesn't really need to exploit the media and wants to do his own stuff, you know what I mean? But some people are being, you know, I've seen some of the Twitter nonsense. I don't use Twitter anymore, I've got to be honest with you, but I have to put things on the @KopTalk account, @KopTalk TV, @KopTalk Podcast, of course. I got banned on Twitter, my personal account, recently for sticking up for a mum with a sick child. Long story, but I didn't really do anything wrong, but I got banned instantly because I said something. Well, the story was it was a mum in a car. She couldn't get through a traffic jam, which was caused by Stop Oil protesters. She got out of the car and said, my sick child's in the car, I'm trying to get to hospital, please will you let me through? And they wouldn't. I retweeted it and said I'd have got her through regardless of the consequences, fucking morons kind of thing, like poor mother, that kind of thing, sticking up for them. And I got instantly banned, and I appealed, and it was upheld. They said, no, you're not coming back, kind of thing. So that's not such a big deal. I've never been warned before on Twitter or had a takedown request or anything. So it's the first time I ever did anything wrong. But apparently it was violent content or something, because I said I would have got her through. You know what I mean? So that inspired me to create a Mastodon server. Mastodon is a Twitter rival, yeah, and it's growing immensely all the time. The Mastodon network, it's a little bit more complicated than Twitter, maybe to a newbie or something like that. But you basically join one server. You can join any server in the world, the main server or our server. I created one for Liverpool supporters. And once you create that server, it just means that part of that server's name is in your username, right? You can then visit anyone else, follow anyone around the world on Mastodon. It's that simple. And you can switch servers. You can migrate to another one and stuff like that. The reason I'm telling you this is because I think you might be missing out a little bit. If you like Twitter, or you think, if you enjoy social media, you like Twitter, but it's too toxic, then this is where you should be. You should try Mastodon, okay? It's liverpoolfootballclub.social. Just type that into a web browser, liverpoolfootballclub.social. It'll take you to a landing page. It'll take you to that instance, that server, and you'll see create account. You can put, if you get in early, you'll get your first name maybe, or your username, or whatever you want, or even an initial. And then you join that server and you follow me, for example, @Dunk or @Admin or @KopTalk, and look at the accounts they are following, and you can soon follow people. You need to follow people or else you won't see anything. And we need you to post as well, and not just about Liverpool or football, about what you're doing with your friends, your hobbies, your interests. More and more content, more interaction makes the server work. And then you start to see people from other servers and you can follow them and their interests, okay? So it's very, very good, and I have to mention it. So there is an app that you can access it via an app, Mastodon, whatever. I've been talking about it enough. I'm sick of talking about it, to be honest, but it's liverpoolfootballclub.social. There is no, when you compare, you don't have to leave Twitter, but when you compare it to Twitter, there's no advertising, there's no algorithm, there's no toxicity, there is no FSG out versus top reds, threatening arguments. No one's going to have a go at you. No one's going to abuse you because I'm in control. I get rid of them instantly. It's complete, sensible discussion. There's no Twitter IK nonsense or anything. So if you're a bit more grown up, or maybe you've never tried social media because you think it might put you off a little bit, if you want, to take part in a community that is moderated, where people will look out for you, it is for you. All right, liverpoolfootballclub.social. So that's why, I spend a lot of time on there at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it. Right, away from that nonsense, before we move on to see, we'll take a look at today's transfer rumours and stuff like that. I'm just thinking if there's anything else I need to tell you. Well, I will be streaming tonight, all right? I'm going out for a few drinks with the boys. I'll be pissed when I get in. I'm like on a Friday. They're big measures when you go to a bar here, whereas on a Saturday night when I'm at home, I can control it. So a few sherbets tonight, basically, 9 o'clock UK time-ish. If I'm not there, it means I've had one foot road and I'll be joining you later. All right. So KopTalk.tv. You can type that in, www.KopTalk.tv, and it'll take you straight there. Around 9 o'clock tonight. And if I'm not too late to bed tonight, we will be live tomorrow night for Saturday night streaming as usual. Okay. So I just want to tell you about those things as well. Now, let's have a look about Manu Mone. All right. Now, there's reports in Germany saying that Liverpool could be back in for him. Okay, Liverpool's still looking for midfield reinforcements. And the player was injured recently, but he's returned to first team training now. And I have been suggesting that you keep an eye on this one. I think even when he was injured, Liverpool maintained their interest in him. And it started to sound like they might go for him in January. But I wouldn't be surprised if we made a late move for this lad. And again, on the 9th of August, I think I sent out that email or started talking about the possibility of us revisiting different, situations that we'd previously been linked with, Mone, Thuram, Gravenberch. These, I wouldn't be surprised if we signed one or two of those players. It depends what happens with other things. But I don't think you should think that we're out of the running. And these are credible reports from Germany regarding Mone. And I think it's in that order. Mone, Thuram, Gravenberch, that Liverpool would like to do stuff. I've always said that Gravenberch is stacked where Liverpool could go in for him at any time. They feel confident they could make that happen. So if they need to add numbers, then, you could see that happening later in the window. But I do not think, some people think our transfer business is over. I do not believe that. I've got to keep the faith. I genuinely believe that our interest remains in Mone, and so do these suggestions, that are coming out today from Germany. They back up my feelings on that and what I've been trying to say. So I do think we will revisit these guys. Gabri Veiga, a midfielder, that we were quite, I wouldn't say heavily linked with, but we had a little mooch around, we made a few inquiries. At one time it looked like we might step up for him. I made a video about this on KopTalk.tv today. When Rafa Benitez was appointed manager of Celta Vigo, our interest with him seemed to stop. And I think that's just because a new manager wants to look at, reevaluate things, the players, who wants to stay, who wants out, who should he keep, who deserves a new chance, etc., etc. It went quiet. We never heard anything since, and it was just one of those that I was keeping an eye on. And it now sounds like he's secured a €30 million move to Napoli. That's 30 million basic price. There is room for add-ons and things like that. A good player, 21 years of age. I think if you think about it, he's costing £9 million, I think, approximately, or 9.6, £9 million, somewhere in that region, more than the other kid that we just signed. I can't remember his name, Wataru, Endo, him. So I would like to have seen that happen. So I'm very disappointed. This is I don't know. It's just disappointing, and it's disappointing because it's just another name that I've been watching and thinking, could we do something for that? And it hasn't materialised. I don't know if that deal's official yet, but it's going to happen. All right. So I woke up to suggestions. I was told that that's what was happening, and I think Fabrizio Romano, Mo Salah, I think he's chimed in now too. I don't pay much attention to Twitter now, guys. I do not browse Twitter at all now, very, very rarely. The only time I look at Twitter is when I jump on to put something on the KopTalk account. I'm enjoying Mastodon. I really am. It's really, really cool. So I initially, I was like, I don't know about this, but it's really grown on me, and it's because it's increasing in size. It's enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? And I'm getting to follow what I need to on there. I know there's other links that we could talk about. We've seen other players in the Premier League linked to Liverpool. I'm not going to go on about them because there genuinely isn't, credible news about those at the minute. And again, if I start talking about the different players that have been linked with us, by the time you listen to this episode, it will have changed. So I think it's important that we stay clear of that stuff, right? And I think you need more real time for that. So, maybe follow KopTalk on Mastodon, for example, the KopTalk members website, YouTube. I like to put out videos on YouTube as well, obviously. The podcast, I don't think is really for that sort of stuff. Okay, let's have a look at today's transfer gossip, from the mainstream media. The Guardian, Chelsea have added Nottingham Forest and Wales forward Brennan Johnson to their list of attacking targets and have held initial talks with the 22-year-old. The Independent say Forest have set an asking price of $40 million for Johnson, with Tottenham and Brentford also considering a move for the attacker before the window closes. Chelsea backed out of a deal to sign France under-21 winger Olise, 21, when Palace informed club lawyers they would consider taking the case to a tribunal. That's Fabrizio Romano. I should say on here, I am not reading out claims from terrible websites like 90 Min and stuff like that. Okay, just so you know, the same with Football Insider. So we're only staying with what I consider credible. Well, not necessarily credible. What we're doing is we're just not including the ridiculous. That's a better way of saying it. Because I don't want you to think that any of these are read out. You know what I mean? We're just not reading the shite out. Okay, independent West Ham, Man City and Tottenham are keen on Jeremy Doku, the Belgian winger. And that was the independent. We did Fabrizio Romano. RMC Sport, France. Chelsea are also looking at French winger Bradley Barcola, 20, but face competition from Paris Saint-Germain, who have had a bid of 35 million euros, 29.8 million turned down by his club Lyon. The Athletic say Notts Forest have made a 35 million euro, 29.8 million pound verbal offer for Monaco's 24-year-old France midfielder Youssouf Fofana. El Chiringuito TV en Español. France forward Kylian Mbappe, 24, has told his entourage he will stay at PSG this year, but in 2024 he only wants to play for Real Madrid. And I believe that, guys. The Telegraph say Davinson Sanchez is a target for Monaco after Tottenham made the Colombia defender 27 available for a move this summer. The Mail say Manchester City are trying to beat Brighton to the signing of 19-year-old Argentine left-back Valentin Barco from Boca Juniors. Sky Sports, former England midfielder Jesse Lingard has impressed West Ham during a stint training with the club and could offer a short-term contract to the 30-year-old. Florian Plettenberg says Bayern Munich will not sign 32-year-old Spanish goalkeeper David De Gea, who is a free agent after leaving Manchester United as manager Thomas Tuchel has vetoed the idea. L'Equipe from France. Bayern's France defender Benjamin Pavard, this was a player that was linked with Liverpool early in the window, is set to choose between a move to Manchester United or Inter Milan before the end of the window. Wolves. What we got about Wolves? Foot Mercato, France. Liverpool are interested in signing Gabon midfielder Mario Lemina, 29, from Wolves. Express and Star. Aston Villa are completing the final paperwork of a loan move for Galatasaray's Italy forward Nicolo Zaniolo, which will include a £22 million option to buy the 24-year-old at the end of the season. The Mail. Fulham are considering a move for Arsenal's USA striker Folarin Balogun, 22. Sky Sports. West Ham are close to agreeing a deal with Stuttgart for 25-year-old Greece defender Konstantinos Mavropanos. I pronounced that one. Guardian. The Hammers are advancing in talks with Ajax over 23-year-old Ghana midfielder Mohamed Kudus, are set to step up their interest in Montpellier's France under-21 striker Elia Wahi, 20, and are also considering a short-term deal for free agent Jesse Lingard. Fabrizio Romano, Mo Salah. Everton and West Ham are interested in signing Porto's Portuguese winger Gonçalo Borges, 22. Telegraph. Arsenal are considering entering the transfer market for a new defender after summer signing Jurrien Timber was ruled out for the season with a serious knee injury. The Athletic. Manchester City's Portugal fullback Cancelo, 29, remains a target for Barcelona, but there is now strong interest from the clubs in Saudi Arabia too. I was speaking to someone in Saudi Arabia, I won't say where, regarding a potential visit out there at some point. We did a draw on KopTalk.tv and the KopTalk VIP members website as well. Some of us, were drawn, teams for this season as a bit of fun. And I'm really enjoying watching you guys on, Mastodon. Yes, on Mastodon, on LiverpoolFootballClub.social, posting little updates about your Saudi teams. It is exceptionally funny. I think Adam Naylor was hashtagging PIF out the other day, which is obviously a spin on FSG out. So really, really good shit. Good fun, guys. I love it. The Athletic. No, we did that one. Okay, ESPN. PSV Eindhoven are keen on signing USA fullback Sergino Dest, 22, on loan from Barcelona. And finally, Talk Sport, which I wouldn't call credible, but I wouldn't call them, as a piss taker either, like the other ones. Man City have paid £1 million to sign 14-year-old French midfielder Thérèse Nobissé from Leicester. 14 years old, £1 million. The world's gone mad. Are you watching the World Cup final, women? Have you been watching any of that? I haven't watched a single fucking game. People keep going up to say, have you seen it? And I'm fucking interested. Okay. And it's Spain versus England. I'm terrible, mate. I kind of like what Spain to win. How bad's that? I won't do. And to be honest, I might watch it for a laugh. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that's today's rumours, guys. Saturday, Liverpool play AFC Bournemouth at home. We've got the drama around the company building the new stand, or expanding the stand at Anfield. People are using that, the FSG, people are using that to have a go at the owners. You can't blame the fucking owners of the club for that, can you? So I don't think people should be trying to point score on that one. I've left that alone. It's frustrating, but the club insists that everything's gonna be all right. So we've got a couple of emails now. Scott. He emailed me 9 days ago. That's how long it is since we've even considered doing a podcast episode. So this is 9 days old. Please bear that in mind as I go through it. He says, now then. Hey, up, fella. A thought struck me a couple of days ago that I haven't heard mentioned anywhere else, but it really seems the only logical conclusion from the embarrassment of a window we've seen from LFC. FSG is setting our boy George up. We are hearing there is money to spend, and FSG are reportedly frustrated that deals are taking so long to conclude. We all know Boy George has that weird 3-month clause in his contract, making it easy to drop him if this window isn't satisfactory. We also know this rebuild was supposed to be funded by outside investment, which still hasn't come. And he's listed some points. 1, the money for rebuild hasn't come, therefore we have the normal 40 to 50 million net spend to play with. 2, they hire a relative nobody who can't believe he's here. 3, he has to haggle over tuppence as the money isn't there. 4, Georgie's dropped in September and FSG blame him through the usual outlets and blame the summer on him. 5, an open letter to Liverpool fans from JWH, or perhaps even a video if we're lucky apologising for the shit show. 6, divs are placated and we look forward to next summer's £200 million watches. Amazing. Boy George knows his reputation is in the mud, but I would sacrifice my reputation for 3 months of working at the pinnacle of my industry. There is also an implicit implication that it is Klopp's fault, as he was friends with Boy George, etc., etc. Schmatka is the perfect smokescreen for FSG to not be spending. Interested to hear your thoughts. Thank fuck Boy George has such a great sense of humour. And that's from Scott. Thanks, Scott. I get the impression that he's been... I don't know. I feel like there's a little agenda against him, and I don't know where it's coming from. I do have my suspicions, and I think it is one of the main people that people tend to watch in the in the media to do with covering Liverpool Football Club, and not one of the clique, not one of the low-ranking LFC journalists, if you like. And do you know what? Nothing's given me greater pleasure than seeing some of these washed-up, fucking failed, cliquey journalists now having to launch their own YouTube channels because they think they can become the next Fabrizio Romano. I know that sounds very bitter, and it really is, because I don't like them. I don't. And it's not because I have had any personal interactions with them whatsoever. It's just because I know that they're just glorified ITKs, and by that I mean bluffing. Do you know what I mean? So there are great journalists and there are not so good journalists, and it makes me laugh to see these journalists that once thought they were somewhat just sat in their homes with shitty wallpaper and backgrounds behind them, trying to be trendy on YouTube, thinking they can become the Fabrizio Romano, the next Fabrizio Romano. I do not blame them because their industry is collapsing, and I completely understand what they're doing, and I predicted it regards a couple of them way earlier in the year, and I was right. I was completely right. DKB, just saying, all right? No malice towards these people. I have no personal, problems with these people. I'm not hiding any, previous interactions or exchanges or anything. I just don't like them as in their jobs. I don't in their personal lives. Maybe they're really good kids, and I'd really like them. But I just find it funny. I saw one the other day. And Adam Naylor, a great YouTuber, on the other hand, a Liverpool fan and someone that I consider friend. I saw that, I put my YouTube up in the lounge on the big screen, and there was Adam there next to one of these journals that's launched a YouTube channel, and Adam had more views on his channel, on his video, and I was fucking buzzing at that. Do you know what I mean? I really was buzzing at that. So, but I do think there is one of the journalists that's not in that category. It's a bit higher up the chain. That I think has been a bit. I don't know. I've noticed a difference in his reporting, and I just get the feeling that maybe George hasn't let him in a little bit. And so if it all goes wrong this window, people put it this way: at the end of this window, Boy George is either going to be blamed for every fucking thing, right? He's going to get thrown under the bus, right? Big gun journals are going to single him out, or he's going to pull something off and all the fans are going to rant and rave about how it was the right appointment, the top Reds will be wetting the pants and stuff like that. It could go either way. I actually think that we'll do some business and we'll be happy at the end of the window. I do. It's just how I feel. I can't back that up. No one's saying that to me. Maybe I'm trying to, convince myself of that. But I just feel that that he might pull it round. Do you know what I mean? It might not be as daft as everyone thinks, but we'll have to see. All right, guys. Thanks for that, Scott. Talking of Adam Naylor, he's emailed me and he sent me this in yesterday. I was supposed. Oh no, it might have been 2 days ago actually. I was supposed to do a podcast yesterday. I didn't. I ran out of time. He says, "Evening, Dunk. So last night, getting ready to film a video about Amrabat and Romano tweets about Endo, and my vid turns into a live reaction of this. I saw Adam Naylor's video. I was absolutely wetting my fucking pants about Adam. Now, if you don't know Adam Naylor, Naylor on YouTube. I love that kid. Honestly, he's mint. And I'm not being like patronising, calling him a kid or anything. It's just a young lad. You know what I mean? I like him. He's fucking mint, and his heart's in the right place. And he is the kind of people that you should be subscribing to and following, not these fucking wank-stained journalists. And I watched that. Adam is the only Liverpool content creator I watch. That's because he's genuine and he's not out there for clicks and shit like that. And I watched this video and I couldn't stop laughing. I was fucking howling. Anyway, he says, I was shocked, confused and underwhelmed. I still feel the same, to be honest. Then we start seeing the usual drivel of the stats from certain people on Twitter acting like this is the next coming of Christ. And this is my point. There's all this stuff like, well, where was all this stuff at the beginning of the window? Why weren't people screaming for his signature? Now he's the best fucking thing since sliced bread. And if you say that, it makes it sound like you're trying to put him down, and I'm not. It's just stating a fact. If we were really bothered about this kid, why did we not get him into beginning of the window? No one had fucking heard of him. You know what I mean? Yeah, if you watch German football, yeah, you'll have heard of him. If you're Japanese, you've heard of him. And now people say, oh, yeah, go and watch this video. This Japanese fan thinks this player's great. Listen, I watch videos of people telling me Bruno Giroud was going to be the next Zidane, so don't give me that shite. Let's hope the kid is great. But these fuckers, you know what I mean? They are deluded. Let's judge him on what he does at Liverpool. That's what I say. He says, now don't get me wrong, if the lad signs, and he might have by the time you read this, he will have my full support. But let's be honest, no one had had this guy on their list. No one had even heard of the fucker. I can never pronounce that name. Bellingham, Bellingham, Kone, Thuram, Lavia, Caicedo. He says Endo plus for 90 million euros, if that's to be believed. Honestly, this guy is so different to the profile of the player we've been linked with all summer. We had young players linked with us with high ceilings, and we get this guy. It's like we are throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. The report says Endo would love to move to Liverpool. I bet he fucking does. Told his wife, whip up the red knickers, we are making the big bucks now. Fuck me, all his Christmases at once. Poor lad though, with the reaction online, I know I'm part of it, but... Anyway, I've been asking for another Genie Robbo signing, maybe not this old, but someone unknown, and maybe this lad is the one. And whenever he pulls that shirt, he has my support. YNWA Adam sent from his iPhone, it says here. And look, Adam's spot on. We're all going to get behind this lad. And do you know what? I have this sneaky feeling he might turn out to be all right. I do. Because we're due one, if you know what I mean. We're due one. And I just think, I like the idea of signing this little shifty fucker. I do. I like it. I like this idea, and there's nothing to lose on it. However, I do think at the same time, it does seem like an expensive... what's this? I got an email coming. I just think it sounds a little bit excessive, the fee as well. Like they didn't put up a fight to lose him, to keep him, sorry. They were quite willing to let him go. The year remaining in his contract, 19 million euros. I don't know, it just sounds a little bit high, but... I don't know. It smells of a desperation signing, but it is a squad, and that's the most important thing. So, yeah, that's it. Right, anyway, guys, so thanks for that, Adam. I do appreciate you contacting me. We're going to leave it there, guys. Not too bad, actually, 33 minutes long on this audio. Sorry if you can hear that. The windows are open. This is very warm. What we'll do now is give a shout out to the squad, the lovely, lovely, loyal people that support my podcast, or those that are left with me. And I don't forget, you know what I mean? Some of these people have been with me a long time, and I do not forget. If you would like to support this podcast, please go to www.KopTalkPodcast.com. All right, KopTalkPodcast.com. And for the cost of a coffee once a month, you can support the podcast, get the adverts removed, etc., etc. You can also become a KopTalk member via that method if you select the member tier, and you will get the news articles and the videos as well. Okay, but via Patreon, it's whatever suits you. So let's give a shout out to those people that do support me. Thanks to the fans in the old legacy tier. I appreciate you guys still clinging on to that old tier. But we'll start with the supporters. We have Ricky Harris, Liam Buckland and James Braid, Wayne Brown, Vincent, Tom Brown, Simon Digweed, Phil Walsh, Mark Bingley, Jimmy, Jamie Gilmore, Harry, Hamza, Glyn Taylor and Aaron. Okay, we then have the members, Dale Baker, Craig Halford, Tyler Dean Williams, Paul MC, Matt Meeker, James Lee, Jack Wood, Jack Rudgley, Clint, Big Wave, Dave and Andrew Evans, and then we've got 3 legends. It's the top tier. They just buy me a few coffees. You know what I'm saying? And I love my peoples, man. We've got Michael Couchman up there. We've got David Sutcliffe as well, and Adam Naylor himself. And I cannot explain to you how much I appreciate the support of all these people, because they have remained loyal with me. And the podcast is currently receiving the least updates, and I'm very conscious of that, but it will not stay like that. And I know I've been saying that for ages. Oh, motorbike. Anyway, www.KopTalkPodcast.com. In September, we will do more. We will definitely do more when the window closes. Listen, maybe I could just do like a rumours thing every morning. If you email me, I have to update the podcast. You could argue that I sat on an email for 9 days. But that's one email. You know, if you email me, I'm conscious of it. I need to do something. If we've got the emails, I will record podcast episodes for you. We can just look at the rumours, etc., etc. But I don't like just rushing off 10 minutes, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't mind rushing a few minutes with a chick or something like that. That's, you know what I mean? That kind of selfish is acceptable, isn't it, guys? But, you know, you guys, I want to speak properly. So I always welcome feedback or ideas of something that you think might make the podcast interesting. Maybe we get away from the news a little bit and maybe do profiles on somebody, you know, previous players or something like that. I don't know. It's your podcast, you tell me. But I do feel terrible that it's not updated as much as I'd like it to be. But that will change in September, okay? So, thanks, guys. Thanks for the support. Please follow me on YouTube at KopTalk.tv. I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I can't give you that. But if you go to www.dunk.es, it will take you to my Mastodon profile. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. I'll catch up with you real soon. Keep the fucking faith. It'll be all right. It'll be all right.